Welcome to DG Reads the Classics. We'll get on with the show in just a moment, but first, a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Improv. Always fresh, never frozen, or pre-packaged. It's Improv, it's always new, and it always tastes different. Improv. And belts. Never have trouble with pants again. Belts. Belts. Stay tuned after the chapter for a special ad from our sponsors. Belts. Welcome to Chapter 3 of Journey to the Center of the Earth with me, your host, DG, or Doug, or Douglas, if you mean the Emperor of Dark Waters, which is, in some circumstances and places that I've found, what my name means. It's Scottish. That's cool. So yeah, this is DG Reads the Classics, where I, your host, DG, read to you the classics that I think are classic enough to enjoy. Right now we're doing Journey to the Center of the Earth, and let's just dive right into Chapter 3. Hey, thanks for joining me. All right, Chapter 3. The Runic Writing Exercises the Professor. Ooh. Undoubtedly it is runic, said the Professor, bending his brows. But there is a secret in it, and I mean to discover the key. A violent gesture finished the sentence. I just imagine an old man piercing the air with his hand. Yeah! Sit there, he added, holding out his fist towards the table. Sit there and write. I was seated in a trice, which I have no idea what that means, T-R-I-C-E. I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, I looked it up, and I had guessed this in my mind. I just didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to sound stupid, but it does. It means quickly, moving quickly. Right, here we go. I was seated in a trice. Now, I will dictate to you every letter of our alphabet, which corresponds with each of these Icelandic characters. We will see what that will give us. But by St. Michael, if you should dare to deceive me. The dictation commenced. I did my best. Every letter was given me one after the other, with the following remarkable result. And it is literally a mash of letters. There's a comma and a couple periods in there. Ooh, 2 commas. I'm going to read you some, but I won't put you through all of it. You'll see why. Runes. It's revel seaside. Sigurdsumf. Vuntaif. Nidrigal. Kitsam. Atrate Sordun. Emtenai. Nenvakt. Risilasa. Astar. Dot. Nvakork. Ayabs. Okay, that's good enough. You get the idea. It's crazy Icelandic characters. Oh, also, just as a note, there is a footnote here. Redactor, in the original version, the initial letter is an M with a superscore over it. It is my supposition that this is the translator's way of writing MM, which was the first 2 letters of whatever I just read. And I have replaced it accordingly, since our typography does not allow such a character. I don't really think the guy who put this one together had the average reader in mind. I mean, I want to see the reader be like, now wait a minute, where is the actual accent grave over the M that signifies the specific Icelandic character? This is not at all the original. This is merely a poor replication. I want a footnote explaining such. Oh, look, there's one. All right, well, they explain themselves, I suppose. Since they put that particular footmark there, I will forgive them this once. Let them not do it again. Who's that guy? His name is Filbert, and he loves these classics. Right. When this work was ended, my uncle tore the paper from me and examined it attentively for a long time. What does it all mean? He kept repeating mechanically. Upon my honor, I could not have enlightened him. Besides, he did not ask me, and he went on talking to himself. This is what is called a cryptogram, or cipher, he said. Oh, that's why it sounded like, well, it did. He said, in which letters are purposefully thrown in confusion, which, if properly arranged, would reveal their sense. Only things that under this jargon there may lie concealed the clue to some great discovery. As for me, I was of opinion that there was nothing at all in it, though, of course, I took care not to say so. This is the equivalent of the average guy's dirty magazine, The Rock Collector's Treasure Map. Then the professor took the book and the parchment, diligently compared them together. These two writings are not by the same hand, he said. The cipher is of later date than the book, an undoubted proof of which I see in a moment. The first letter is a double M, which we explored earlier, a letter which is not to be found in Turleson's book, and which was only added to the alphabet in the 14th century. Therefore, there are 200 years between the manuscript and the document. Okay, I see. I guess I can see now why he might leave that kind of footnote. Right, okay, sure. I admitted that this was a strictly logical conclusion. I am therefore led to imagine, continued my uncle, that some possessor of this book wrote these mysterious letters. But who was that possessor? Is his name nowhere to be found in the manuscript? I love the way this guy talks to himself, by the way. It's wonderful. It's like an Edgar Allan Poe short story. My uncle raised his spectacles, took up a strong lens, and carefully examined the blank pages of the book. On the front of the title page, he noticed a sort of stain which looked like an ink blot. But in looking at it very closely, he thought he could distinguish some half-effaced letters. My uncle at once fastened upon this as the center of his interest, and he labored at that blot until, by the help of his microscope, he ended by making out the following runic characters, which he read without difficulty. What a dude, that's why they pay him the big bucks. Arne Saknussemm! He cried in triumph. I just want to pause right here and tell you guys I took 19, 20 takes. And his name is spelled Arne, A-R-N-E, Saknussemm, S-A-K-N-U-S-S-E-M-M, exclamation point. Right. Arne Saknussemm! He cried in triumph. Why, that is the name of another Icelander, a savant of the 16th century, a celebrated alchemist. Yo, that's cool. I gazed at my uncle with satisfactory admiration. Those alchemists, he resumed, Avicenna, Bacon, Lully, Paracelsus, were the real and only savants of their time. They made their discoveries at which we are astonished. Has not this Saknussemm concealed under his cryptogram some surprising invention? It is so. Oh, it must be so. The professor's imagination took fire at this hypothesis. No doubt, I ventured to reply. But what interest would he have in thus hiding so marvelous a discovery? Why? Well, how can I tell? Did not Galileo do the same by Saturn? We shall see. I will get at the secret of this document, and I will neither sleep nor eat until I have found it out. My comment on this was a half-suppressed, "Oh!" Axel is really half-hearted in all of his responses. He's so lackluster in his happy invocation at his uncle's just wild-eyed enthusiasm. Hey, cool, man. Yeah, neat. Hey, that's great. Oh, life-changing discovery by some dude who had, knowledge of the workings of the reality of the universe and how we could take it. Oh, cool. I guess the ultimate secret. Neato. I'm gonna go eat some more. That soup is delicious. Nor you either, Axel, he added. The deuce, I said to myself. Then it is lucky I've eaten 2 dinners today. See, look at that. All he thinks about is food. First of all, we must find out the key to this cipher. That cannot be difficult. At these words, I quickly raised my head, but my uncle went on soliloquizing. What a fun word to say. Soliloquizing. It's like a singing surprise. I'm going to soliloquize you. Be careful. It's your birthday. You might get a soliloquize. Why they became from Puerto Rico, I don't know. Well, there's nothing easier. In this document, there are 132 letters, vis-a-vis 70 consonants and 55 vowels. This is a proportion found in southern languages, whilst northern tongues are much richer in consonants. Therefore, this is a southern language. Smart dude. These were very fair conclusions, I thought. But what language is it? Here I looked for a display of learning, but I met instead with profound analysis. This Saknussemm, he went on, was a very well-informed man. Now, since he was not writing in his own mother tongue, he would naturally select that which was currently adopted by the choice spirit of the 16th century. I mean Latin. If I am mistaken, I could try but Spanish, French, Italian, Greek, or Hebrew. But the savants of the 16th century generally wrote in Latin. I am therefore entitled to pronounce this a priori to be Latin. It is Latin. I jumped up in my chair. My Latin memories rose in revolt against the notion that these barbarous words could belong to the sweet language of Virgil. Well, it's definitely barbarous. Yes, it is Latin, my uncle went on. But it is Latin confused and in disorder. Perturbata seu inordinata, as Euclid has it. I gotta find out what that means. Perturbata seu inordinata. Okay, so mad dash on Google does not come up immediately with any results. And when you use the Google Translate, it comes up with different languages. But perturbata, it basically says it's jumbled up Latin, but it comes up like as Castellan sometimes, and then as from Malay sometimes, and then sometimes it's Latin, sometimes it's Romanian. Anyway, it basically means disrupt your balance. Perturb, seu, your, inordinate, I guess inordinately, disrupt unbalancedly. I don't know. So anyway, it's difficult to find out what it means. It's definitely jumbled up, as Euclid had it. Back to it. Very well, thought I. If you can bring order out of that confusion, my dear uncle, you are a clever man. Let us examine carefully, said he again, taking up the leaf upon which I had written. Here is a series of 132 letters in apparent disorder. There are words consisting of consonants only, as nurrs or nrrlls. Others, on the other hand, in which vowels predominate, as for instance the fifth, unief, or uneeief, or the last one, osaibo, or oseibo. Now, this arrangement has evidently not been premeditated. It has arisen mathematically in obedience to the unknown law which has ruled in the succession of these letters. It appears to me a certainty that the original sentence was written in a proper manner and afterwards disordered by a law which we have yet to discover. Whoever possesses the key to this cipher will read it with fluency. What is that key, Axel? Have you got it? It's getting hot in there. It's getting hot in that room. I answered not a word, and for a very good reason. My eyes had fallen upon a charming picture suspended against the wall, the portrait of Groban. Lusting after Groban, residential hottie. My uncle's ward was at the time at Altona, staying with a relation, and in her absence I was very downhearted. Right. For I may confess it to you now, the pretty Virlandaise and the professor's nephew loved each other with a patience and a calmness entirely German. Ooh, that's got to be a steadfast, very mechanically beautiful love. Powerful. Prost. We had become engaged, unknown to my uncle, who was too much taken up with geology to be able to enter into such feelings as ours. Oh, snap, it's legit. All right, way to go, Axel. Groban was a lovely, blue-eyed blonde, rather given to gravity and seriousness, but that did not prevent her from loving me very sincerely. As for me, I adored her, if there is such a word in the German language. Thus it happened that the picture of my pretty Virlandaise threw me in a moment out of the world of realities, into that of memory and fancy. Oh, you know what he was imagining. They were getting it on in his head. Some nice daydreaming. What was that like before the internet? There looked down upon me the faithful companion of my labors and my recreations. Every day she helped me to arrange my uncle's precious specimens. She and I labeled them together. Mademoiselle Groban was an accomplished mineralogist. She could have taught a few things to a savant. She was fond of investigating abstruse scientific questions. What pleasant hours we have spent in study, and how often I envied the very stones which she handled with her charming fingers. He gets hot under the collar when she's handling stones. It's so firm. It's so hard, like rock. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that stone is rock hard. It's so straight. It's so tall, and it just stands there in my hands. Oh, yeah. Study sessions were lots of fun. I'm sure he walked away with a pair of his own blue gemstones at the end of sessions like that. Wah. Anyway, then, when our leisure hours came, we used to go out together and turn into the shady avenues by the Ulster, and went happily side by side up to the old windmill, which forms such an improvement to the landscape at the head of the lake. On the road, we chatted hand in hand. I told her amusing tales at which she laughed heartily. And then one rock, I put them closer together, and it was like, wow, like, look at the difference between the two. One is hard and jagged, and the other one is smooth but still hard. And the colors, they're different too. This one's lighter and more red, and over here it's still redder but like a brown, like, you know. And she's just eating it up. It's so true. All the rocks that, yes, it's the same but different. Oh my, it's just so smart. Then we reached the banks of the Elbe, and after having bid goodbye to the Swan, sailing gracefully amidst the white water lilies, we returned to the quay by the steamer. That is just where I was in my dream, when my uncle, with a vehement thump on the table, dragged me back to the realities of life. Come, he said. The very first idea which would come into anyone's head to confuse the letters of a sentence would be to write the words vertically instead of horizontally. Huh? Indeed, said I. Now we must see what would be the effect of that, Axel. Put down upon this paper any sentence you like, only instead of arranging the letters in the usual way, one after the other, place them in succession in vertical columns, so as to group them together in 5 or 6 vertical lines. I caught his meaning. He couldn't be more obvious, and immediately produced the following literary wonder. And vertically, it's written, top to bottom, left to right. I love you well, my own dear Gruben. Good, said the professor, without reading them. Now, set down those words in a horizontal line. I obeyed, and with this result. And it certainly doesn't read what I read before. It reads, so yeah, definitely jumbled. Excellent, said my uncle, taking the paper hastily out of my hands. This begins to look just like an ancient document. The vowels and the consonants are all grouped together in equal disorder. There are even capitals in the middle of the words. And commas, too, just as in Saknussum's parchment. I consider these remarks very clever. Now, said my uncle, looking straight at me, to read the sentence which you have just written, and with which I'm wholly unacquainted, I shall only have to take the first letter of each word, then the second, then the third, and so forth. And my uncle, to his great astonishment, and my much greater, read, I love you well, my own dear Gruben. Hello, cried the professor. Yes, indeed, without knowing what I was about, like an awkward and unlucky lover, I had compromised myself by writing this unfortunate sentence. Aha! You're in love with Gruben, he said, with the right look for a guardian. Yes, no, I stammered. You love Gruben, he went on once or twice dreamily. Well, let us apply the process I have suggested to the document in question. My uncle, falling back into his absorbing contemplations, had already forgotten my imprudent words. I merely say imprudent, for the great mind of so learned a man, of course, had no place for love affairs. And happily, the grand business of the document gained me the victory. Just as the moment of the supreme experiment arrived, the professor's eyes flashed right through his spectacles. There was a quivering in his fingers as he grasped the old parchment. He was deeply moved. At last, he gave a preliminary cough, and with profound gravity, naming in succession the first, then the second letter of each word, he dictated me the following: MMESSVNKSENRA dot Eisfadok dot Segnitamvruten. Second line: Eskerteserista, comma, Rotaisadva, comma, Edneskedsadni, Lokartinivits Artsarkak, Sarmtabiledemek, Meretsarsisvil Voisil Fensani. That was 4 lines total. I confess I felt considerably excited in coming to the end. These letters named one at a time had carried no sense to my mind. I therefore waited for the professor with great pomp to unfold the magnificent but hidden Latin of this mysterious phrase. But who could have foretold the result? A violent thump made the furniture rattle and spilt some ink, and my pen dropped from between my fingers. "That's not it!" cried my uncle. "There's no sense to it!" Then, darting out like a shot, bowling down the stairs like an avalanche, he rushed into the Koenigstrasse and fled. End of chapter 3, and thank you very much for joining in. I'm having a great time. I hope you are. Share, like, subscribe, do all those fun little clicky things. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great time, and stay tuned for chapter 4. Huh. Hey, dude.
What's up, bro?
Can you help me for a second?
Hold on. Okay, all right. Yeah, what's up, bro?
So, I took your advice on pants, and, like a charm, man. I'm telling you, I'm getting looks, up and down the entire body now. People are definitely taking notice. But, they keep falling down. I don't know what to do. And it's taking up a lot of my attention. I can't.
Yeah, no, that's totally clear.
You can tell. I'm struggling.
Like you are having trouble keeping your pants up.
What do I do? How do the adults do it? I don't know what to do. I keep, every time I let go of my pants a little bit, I think I get a walk on. I'll start to walk and then I'll start to trip, and people, it looks like I'm having a seizure when I walk. I can't.
Bro, you need a belt.
Even steps. I
Bro.
almost trip, but I don't, and I'm okay. But
Bro, you need a belt.
I can't. Oh, huh?
A belt, it's like a hairband, but for your waist and your pants or whatever. You want to keep up above the hoo-has. You know what I mean?
Okay. It's a lot more work getting up the stairs and moving around in general. A belt. I feel like life will be easier.
It will.
Where do I get it? I want one. I'm in.
Just follow my voice to the link below or go to Amazon.com. But, go to the link below because it's pretty cool going that way.
What is it? What are you talking? What? Below? I don't. Who are you looking at?
Bro, don't worry about it. You need a belt.
You're right. Huh. Thanks, dude. I'll never have trouble with pants again.
Exactly, brah. Belts. They're like hairbands for the clothing around your waist. Because, it's not always pants. It could be, other things. Belts.